and welcome to some of my friends read comics. We've got Vance.
I'll bet Batman wishes he had a family just like mine.
We got Chris.
You can't fool me. There ain't no such thing as Santa Claus.
And I'm Kia. Welcome to the show. That was a good Marx Brothers quote. Good work there.
That's my Chico impression. Don't
I think
cancel me.
that was from the contract, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the show. We are talking about Christmas. Happy Merry. It's coming up here soon, within the next few days. Actually, at the time of this release, it's going to be the next day. Is that right?
2 days.
No, 2 days.
We come out on Wednesdays. Okay. So the 23rd is Wednesday? We're recording this on the 20th to get the facade. It's Sunday.
I don't know what day of the week is what anymore either. It's tough to.
It's holiday break. It's holiday.
It's holiday. Yes. Well, yeah. But today we did some Christmas stuff last time. That was of a little bit of an older nature. Now we're going to do some slightly more modern Christmas tales, a couple of Batman stories. First, we're going to do Detective Comics 826, which was a Batman story. And then we're going to watch, we did watch an episode of Batman the Animated Series. The second episode, actually, or the 38th, depending on how you look at it. We'll get to that later. Christmas with the Joker. So we'll talk about both of these things. But let's just dive right in with the issue here. Detective Comics number 826, written by Paul Dini and Don Kramer. I think Paul Dini we've definitely talked about plenty of times on this show here. One of the big masterminds behind the whole DC animated universe and all that kind of stuff. And
which is our tie-in again because he worked a lot on Batman the Animated Series. I don't think at that time, I don't know if he was like, he's associated very much with Batman the Animated Series. I don't think when he was originally hired, he was like the guy, like the way Bruce Timm was. But he became the guy. He wrote Batman Arkham Asylum, probably Arkham City also. I can't remember exactly on that credit, Chris. You probably would know
the movies. The
video games, yeah. Which have the cast.
It definitely feels like he was punching up like something they already had the skeleton of.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But Paul Dini had I didn't realize so long of a run on Detective Comics, but I remember when I was reading modern comics around this time. This is 2006. He wrote from like issue 822 to 852 of Detective Comics, so almost 3 years. And I think 852 is probably when Bruce Wayne got killed. So, and then Dick Grayson took over, and I think Greg Rucka may have started writing Batwoman. So that may have been where...
Batwoman had the 6 issues we've covered previously.
Yeah, it was right in that 850 range, yeah. So that's probably right at the end of Dini's run, because this issue starts with the events of this take place before Batman 655, which is the introduction of Damian Wayne. Grant Morrison's book would have been the flagship Bat book at this time. Was it Kubert on one of the artists on that?
It was one of the Kuberts, yes.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's a controversial opinion or not, but I liked this 100% better than Morrison's.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a good counter programming because it's like Morrison is telling this like weird sprawling thing that like reaches into like the weirdest obscurities of Batman history. With and then having like this Damian Wayne story that then turns into this Batman dies and becomes a caveman Batman. It's a whole mess. And then Paul Dini's like, y'all like Batman the Animated Series? He's going to give you like done-in-ones for his entire run, or at least the first year. So,
all right,
it's good counter programming.
And a bunch of like done-in-twos too. Yeah, it's not a sprawling thing. It's like 1 and 2 part stories.
Yeah, there was a good Joker story from this. I thought this was that because I remember reading the Joker 2-parter. That you don't realize it's a Joker 2-parter until like the last page of the first part. That may have been in the 830 range, but that was a really good one too. Dini's a good writer. Spoiler alert.
he wrote Tiny Toon Adventures. Of course, he's a good writer.
Whoa.
They're tiny
and then
and
for
toony.
Don Kramer. This guy, I don't think I've ever necessarily heard his name in the comics world, but a very sparse Wikipedia page that just says, yeah, he's done some comic stuff. So I don't know much about him, to be honest. The art is, I really like him. There's a few sort of non-superhero-y scenes with him that are just like, played straight, which were a little strange. But in general, I really like especially his Joker stuff.
I like his Joker. I like people when they wear accessories on top of their normal costumes. It's a real thing for me. Like the Joker is dressed as got a Santa hat throughout this whole issue, and I really like that touch and like a little scarf. Like it makes it feel more real to me. It's a Runaways Adrian Alphona thing that I just really enjoy. That kind of touches.
Yeah, his face is, I don't know if he's like photo referencing or what he's doing in the first few pages with Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne, but his faces are very strange at the beginning of the book. I was like, uh-oh, this might not be good. But once he's doing the Joker, it was much better.
Yeah, he did the
yeah. Go ahead.
He did the Wonder Woman by John Michael Straczynski also. The one that I think was aborted halfway through.
But that stunk.
Yeah, that stunk. I don't think that's probably his fault though.
Yeah, it was definitely not his fault. That was Straczynski's fault.
Well, let's just jump right into the story here. We've got Robin, who's dealing with some gang gunfire here. He's dodging. His motorcycle gets ruined. He doesn't know what to do. Random car.
This is Tim Drake, right?
Yes. Brian Michael Bendis has recently renamed Drake.
Oh,
almost just a spit take there. It's
true. That's his superhero name now. I didn't do it.
Okay. All right. Fine. I mean, I know that. Like, is he okay? I'm not even gonna go into this.
So Drake gets caught in some gang gunfire, and a random car pulls up and says, "Robin, over here." And Tim Drake is like, "Well, I'm stuck. I really just got to get in this car, no matter who it is. I don't care." And guess who's driving the car? It's the Joker. And he says, "Sup." I like that a lot.
This is a really good. I was reading this panel by panel on my phone, and this is all in one page. But when you read it panel by panel, it works really well for this reveal. You're like, oh, somebody's gonna help Robin get in the car, and then oh shit, it's the Joker.
Yeah.
It's a really good little like splash there, like half splash on the page. I really like it.
And then I guess this next scene was a recap. This is the scene that had me a little worried because it's not very well drawn. Nobody's really identified super well. I guess you're just kind of supposed to know. I think he calls him Tim in one of them.
Yeah, and they're just because that's always a trouble for me is telling the difference between Bruce, Tim, and Dick if they're not named. And I bet if you gave me a random page where Dick Grayson was Batman back in the day, in the 08, 09, if he didn't specifically say Dick, I probably would think it was Bruce Wayne. Like half the time. But man, there's some gross necks here.
They tried to draw him a little smaller, but yeah, it's up to the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are watching the Marx Brothers. They it'll come back later, I guess. But yeah, they're just enjoying the Marx Brothers. Why not?
Well, I mean, you would think that like Dick Grayson would just know the Marx Brothers better from like his like circus days.
Well, it's also different because the more modern things get, like a circus and like a what's the word I'm looking for?
Fun? Not
fun? No, like the Marx Brothers aren't necessarily like they never worked in a circus. Like I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't go to the opera.
I thought it was just comedy adjacent. And you can sell and you eat animal crackers at a circus, right? That's a Marx Brothers movie, right? I don't know the Marx Brothers. Some of my friends
I do really love the Marx Brothers. Yeah, Duck Soup is mine. But
yeah, I like all the ones that don't have musical numbers in them. The musical numbers have not aged well.
Oh yeah,
the MGM ones where they're like, we need to have a love story in these and singing, and you're like, come on, get to the jokes. Yeah, Duck Soup's a great one. And what's is it Night at the Opera? That is the one they reference in this one. I guess we'll get to.
That's a Queen album. Excuse me.
All right, so the Joker we're back to the present day. Joker is running over people. It's
pretty
somewhat
visceral.
Entertaining. Yeah,
the art is pretty visceral on it, though.
It is. I was like, whoa. But the Joker is also so nonchalant about it, and he's just like, oops, oh no, whoa, boy, this is a real rough road, like that, just random stuff, and it's like, there's something about it that like just works for the Joker. It works really well for me. It's violent.
I like the mild amount of psychological warfare the Joker has and I like this Joker in this one because it's not like a huge scheme. He doesn't seem to really have a plan. He's just kind of like there. It's weird. It's a real okay story. And then you're like, by this point you realize, oh, this is just going to be Dick Grayson and Joker in a car for this whole issue.
Right. Yeah, he's just trying to spread a little chaos like he does. He goes to a drive-through and tries to order way too many things.
It does, like, I definitely hear Mark Hamill's voice reading this. Like when he turns to Robin and he's like, Robin says like, "You son of a bitch" or whatever, like muffled, and he turns to him and is like, "There's no reason for language like that." Like I can hear Mark Hamill lowering his register, the way like where he's like getting more serious. You know, it's definitely like I just hear it in every line the Joker gives.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. He is the best Joker, after all.
He's really good at it.
Yeah,
he's also the best Hobgoblin, but that's another story.
Yes. And then right after that, he goes up higher into his register with like, "You're kind of testy. Are you hungry? I'm starved." You know, like he's back into like, you know, a bit where, and I guess Bruce Wayne did mention that like that's what he does. Like he's just, you know, enjoys doing this.
Yes. We'll talk more about Mark Hamill later. Maybe. Robin is fishing around through the seats while Joker is ordering this burger, and he's like, well, at one point he looks backwards to be like, "Oh, did we just run over a guy?" Something like that. And there's a couple in the back seat. They're dead. So I was like, "Oh yeah, Joker stole this car, of course." And there's presents back there. So Robin ascertains that this must be, a parent's. And so he's like, they probably, you know, the kid's toy somewhere in the seats, and he finds a little toy
shit
car
back there. They have, you know, some type of like snacks or snack cup or something. Look, I recently switched Diana's car seat to be forward instead of backward, instead of rear facing. So much shit underneath that little car seat, you know. So I get it. Right. So I'm like, Robin, I get it. Yep, Robin, this is legit. And you know what's going on.
Yeah, and he finds this little toy car. He is trying to like cut through his whatever, but that's the point you mentioned where Joker just grabs it from him and throws it away. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I put that there just to give you some false hope." Ha ha ha. And that's a lot of fun.
He does. He also shoots the manager at the McDonald's when they screw up his order.
Yeah, and he's real bummed about it because he really wanted that milkshake.
I really do like that plot device, though, of like, you know, when a character's like trying to be smart and they're like kind of Sherlock Holmesy and like, "I've deduced this and this and this," and then the other character's like, "I've already thought about this. I did this to trick you." It's such like a cool, like I'm in control like plot device. It's a real good way to establish I'm in control, and is menacing and scary. This Joker is really good in this story.
And his weakness, of course, is comedy. Robin quotes Groucho Marx. What was
Chico
was the joke that you had brought up there at the beginning. I don't remember the quote anymore. Give it to us one more time.
"You can't fool me. There ain't no Santa Claus."
Yeah, there you go. They're talking about Santa Claus, and Joker's like, "Oh, I love that. It's from this movie." And Robin's like, "Actually, it was from this movie," and just gets Joker all worked up. Yes, and that's enough of a distraction to punch him.
It's great because he gets the Joker by like, you know, making him a fanboy where he's like, the Joker is right. It is from A Night at the Opera. Robin gets it wrong on purpose to like rile him up.
Yeah, which I think I really enjoy that. Just get it wrong on purpose. Robin just trolls the Joker, and and the Joker is baited. He falls for it hard. Remember, never reply to trolls.
Yeah, and one of my friends, I got really insistent about something. And it's a good lesson for anybody. Like, even if you're right, that doesn't really help your situation. So yeah, the Joker was right. Like, but there's no reason to be like factually accurate with Robin. Like, it gains you nothing, Joker, except to like show that you're like this weird fanboy nerd who's like obsessive about some bullshit. Like, no one cares about X fact from Star Wars or whatever. Like, if you're right, you're right. Who gives a shit? And Robin plays to that really well. I also like Robin's face. He's like, "No, I think I'm still right." I really like that face. Yep. That's a really good expression on that one.
So he escapes from the car. Well, okay, so the car swerves out of control and everything. Joker gets knocked out of the car. He is in front of this big tanker that's coming, and he just jumps off the bridge and, you know, kind of disappears, does this whole escape thing. Batman shows up later and is like, "Hey, you did good, Robin. Even though he got away, you still, you know, survived the Joker. Good job." He does say he won't be hurting anyone else for a long time, and we should take comfort in that. And I'm like, how do you know? He got away.
He'd be doing this like 10 minutes from now.
Right now. You do it now. He's probably robbing someone in their car.
And I'm like, he's still like murdered a lot. And the thing is that they weren't like fun murders, and they were like scary, visceral, real world murders. Kind of like the Gotham Central Joker killing spree, where it was like he killed that guy like in the drive-thru and he ran over people just on the street shopping for Christmas. So like at the point I'm like, "Oh cool, well you stopped the Joker," but like a lot of people are dead and it's not cool. So at least like Batman mildly acknowledges it in a way that you have to wrap it up and done in one issue. but I'm still like, man, like this was still like not a good night. This was a pretty traumatic night for Robin.
Yeah.
But but I liked it, and I mean it's a good little done in one story. I'd probably like to read more of this Dini run, especially this first year. If they're just like a slightly darker Batman animated series episodes, because I feel like this could have been a cartoon episode if not for the fact that it was fairly violent.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, overall, I really liked it. As far as like a Christmassy one and done, it didn't have a lot of like, it wasn't a sappy Christmas story either. It was just like, this is taking place around Christmas. And it didn't really try to give you much of a lesson or like a Christmassy, you know what I mean?
Belief in goodwill toward men or anything like that. Yeah.
Right. None of that. It was just
it's a cold night, kind of the bleakness of a cold night. Which watching that and watching the cartoon episode we just watched, I'm like, man, Batman does look good in the snow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give that credit to Batman Returns. It looks good in the snow.
You know what? We will talk about that in just a minute. I never mentioned Squadron Supreme. We'll talk. We're back to it. We're back to me skipping that. But Squadron Supreme, we're on number 8. That'll come at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and we don't know, for all we know, because Joker almost hit Santa Claus with like children, but then the Marx Brothers quote distracted him, and he didn't run over the Santa. For all we know, that was actually Santa Claus, and he saved Santa's life.
Okay, well, and according to our last episode, Kia did some magic numbering to get to 4 real Santa Clauses, and so now we're up to 5 real Santa Clauses. So I think I won. Just took till overtime.
Okay, that's fair. I think. Good job, man. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. So, are we ready to go on to the animated series episode? Anything else to say about this?
Good pick, Chris.
Yeah, Paul Dini's
good. The cover is also not done by Don Kramer. I'm not sure who it was. It J.H. Williams. It's somebody doing a painted cover, which is nice.
Yeah, what's that?
The version I see is just like a black and white penciled version.
Yeah, but I feel like Williams might have been doing the cover. Guy Major and Simone Bianchi.
Okay, Simone Bianchi. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, on to the animated series episode. Have y'all heard of Batman the Animated Series? Does anybody watch that cartoon?
Up until 2 days ago, I had access to Batman the Animated Series, and now I don't.
They just took it off of DCU. That's so sad.
It was such bullshit. So HBO Max, which basically, long story short, I guess, they're both owned by Time Warner, which is now owned by AT&T, and slowly but surely they were going to phase it. They've been phasing out the DC Universe app, so like no more like original programming like Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing, Stargirl. Those are all going to start appearing on HBO Max, and Harley Quinn is now over on HBO Max. So and now HBO Max is on Roku as of last Thursday, and I'm like, cool.
Okay.
So when this video thing phases out, I'll just have all my stuff on HBO Max, all the DC Universe video streaming content's going there. Cool. Got it. So the day that HBO Max drops on Roku, my Roku app also says DC Universe is no longer available. You can't access it. And I'm like, well, shit, I've got a podcast. I've got to access this episode. So I go onto my phone and I'm like, okay, it's still on my phone. I can still access Batman. And this was, I think, Friday, maybe even Saturday. And I'm like, it's still there. I'm fine. I'm good. I'll wake up the day we record. I'll watch the episode. I'll do my notes. I'll do my research. And it was fucking gone. There's a ton of other Batman shit still on the DC Universe app on my phone. Batman Animated Series is not one of them. I think Batman Beyond might be
and Superman are gone.
Yeah, Justice League might still be there.
Yeah, Justice League is still there. But yeah, Batman and Superman are gone. The Batman is there. Brave and the Bold is there.
But not Batman the Animated Series. I'm assuming it'll appear on HBO Max or somewhere.
I'm sure.
But this is that streaming age where, like, I remember I get fucked by this every time. I'm like, I don't need to buy Batman the Animated Series. I'll have HBO Max and DC Universe for the rest of my life. I'll always have access to these things. Well,
nope, never.
But luckily, somebody put it on Facebook, or I was going to look on Dailymotion, but somebody had it on Facebook. Like posted like 2 years ago, so I just got that and watched it on Facebook on my phone.
You could have watched. You could have joined me on a Skype call, and I could have watched it because I have the Blu-rays.
Yeah, wow. If you really want these things, you need to buy them on physical media in a disc format that you'll still have, because I don't have a VCR. So, but I do have a Blu-ray player.
What about when the battery on the discs goes bad and you can't save your progress?
But there is disc rot, though. That is a thing also. So discs
Well-
do fall apart after 15, 20 years. Time is
Disc Rot. That's a
yeah.
good name for a Batman villain for my run. Disc Rot.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
So anyways,
this-
long way
this
short.
episode-
If you want to watch Batman the Animated Series, like in this 1 week, it's probably not on HBO Max. Go to Facebook
Hopefully
or
by
Daily
New
Motion.
Year's it'll be on HBO.
If you have the internet, you can get it. It's out there. You know.
I
You
was
just search
very
Batman.
pissed. This was a morning though. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, this episode was the second ever produced episode of Batman the Animated Series, but it is a Christmas episode with the Joker and also with Robin, who technically hadn't been like introduced in the series yet. This ended up being aired as episode 38. So I think the DVD collections have it as the second one,
Yes.
even though it did air way later. But it is a little bit rough. You can tell it's one of the early ones. It's one of the, they use a lot of different animation studios. I think we've talked about this previously, but this was a little bit of a rough animation style on all this sort of stuff. It's not bad, but you can tell the difference.
That's because they dropped what did they drop? Like something like the first 65 episodes just like daily, 5 days a week. So they dropped 65 episodes like in 13 weeks or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
So it was something nuts like that, yeah.
And I'm not sure where this was, like in the Warner Brothers cartoon like production order, but this would have been around the same time as, I guess Chris also mentioned, Tiny Toons. Animaniacs would have been around.
This would be immediately after Tiny Toons, but before Animaniacs, I think.
Because all the humans look like Tiny Toons Animaniacs humans.
They definitely, especially in there's parts where like Santa Claus is visible and he looks like Ralph from Animaniacs.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a freak.
Because I know kind of the middle between this. Freakazoid probably the best out of all of those series. Because me and Kia used to watch Freakazoid a lot. We'd come home from the bars.
It's a good, great show.
Hey, Freakazoid, you want to go watch a bear riding a bicycle? Do I?
Yeah.
You have to do the Ed Asner voice if you're gonna.
I can't do it, and I think it's also a
I
think it's also a unicycle, not a bicycle.
It's a bear riding a unicycle. Yeah. We have so this episode though it's pretty classic in sort of the weird types of humor it's got going for it. The Joker escapes from Arkham at the beginning of this episode by turning their asylum Christmas tree into a rocket, and he like rides out of there with it.
Hell yeah!
So it's a great way to start. I am very curious as to how he's keeping that pointy thing on his head, because he's moving his head all around, and that thing is staying put. I'm very proud of Joker. I also question why they would give all these Arkham Asylum inmates all this pointy stuff to like put a tree together and everything. That just seems bad.
And they should ban singing Jingle Bells at Arkham Asylum, because the temptation to, make lyrics about Batman is too great.
That's true. He is singing the Jingle Bells Batman Smells song, which, with the questionable origin, where did that come from? But I'm sure this helped spread it to a lot of kids our age and make sure that got out there.
Mm-hmm.
We then cut to Robin, who just wants to watch It's a Wonderful Life. That's all. And Batman's like, I don't care. I can't even get past the title, man. I'm dark. Get it? And Robin's like, no, dude, you'll like it. It's about, one dude saving a city. Which, is that what a wonderful is? I don't know.
Basically, yes.
Right. I mean, isn't every movie really about that?
Sure.
A lot of movies can be distilled down to that. And if you're wanting for any more characterization from Bruce Wayne or Dick Grayson, you're done. That's it.
You're done. That's it.
that's all you're getting.
There's a couple of fun little scenes that shows Bruce Wayne is very serious.
Yeah. They go on a little crime hunt, see if there's anything going on out there. Batman's like, oh, I think there's a crime, Robin. And so he sees there's a young kid running up to a woman, and Batman swings in, but then he's like, oh, let me duck in this out to see what's going on. And this nice boy is like, ma'am, you dropped your present. And she's so thankful. She kisses him on the cheek, gives him coronavirus, and everything is happy. And so
those were my two.
That there when he's like blushing, that's rough.
Yeah, that's rough.
Those are my two reactions. Though, I was like, "Yep, coronavirus. Like this wouldn't happen anymore."
And you can't kiss random people anymore.
No, you can't. Not like in the good old days, right? But no, it was that. And then my other reaction was that weird Batman Silent Night, where Batman got drunk with the cops and then realized he wasn't needed. And they weren't needed also.
That did remind me of that. I was like, that's so funny that we just read
that too, yeah. It has a similar style to it. Oh no, Diana was reminded of it, but she didn't like it.
Yeah, she's trying to get in here. So sorry about that.
All right. Sometimes you want to get in there.
She's like, don't you besmirch the good honor of Batman and police officers. They're needed. They're needed.
The police are not in this issue. They really would have come in handy at any point, I think. But the Joker has taken over the airwaves. They're sitting down to watch It's a Wonderful Life, and every channel has the Joker. And it's a good thing that's right when Bruce Wayne sat down, because that's when Joker's show is starting. The opening sequence of Joker's TV show is like a tank with a Santa on the outside of it, and it like explodes up into the air like fireworks, and then the title card is like Joker's TV special or something. And I'm like, is that live, or was that recorded ahead of time to get ready for your show? I don't know.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell this is before the debut of Harley Quinn, because like it would be a perfect place to like show her like producing, the show, like holding the camera or something, but it's just like random goons.
Yeah. Everybody welcome your host or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they actually do that in Almost Got Him whenever he's got Catwoman, like in the cat food factory. Like they literally just do that where she's like introducing their Tonight Show sketch.
Nice.
Yeah.
We've got Batman hacks into the mainframe so that he can see where the signal's coming from. And it's actually pretty good. Batman has he was watching TV in the den, he was watching TV in the Batcave, he's watching TV on a little car on the little TV in the Batmobile. He can keep tracks on the Joker everywhere he goes, which is nice. He's got a screen everywhere.
Yeah, I did notice that. Like he had the little TV in the Batmobile. I'm like, that's fortuitous here.
Mm-hmm. But he's keeping up with what's going on. Joker's going through with his show. He's kidnapped a bunch of cops. He kidnapped Commissioner Gordon. Is that Barbara Gordon?
That's what I thought it might be.
Okay.
No, it's Summer Gleason, the reporter.
Oh.
Isn't Summer Gleason from Firefly?
Yeah, he went to a different franchise and took their reporter. And he also took
Summer Glau. I'm sorry, that's Summer Glau. I apologize.
There you go.
It's from San Antonio. San Antonio's own Summer Glau.
Wow. But we get Commissioner Gordon, that reporter, Summer something, and the mean cop, Harvey Bullock, and
Donald Logue from the Gotham show.
Who? What?
Donald Logue.
Donald Logue.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Because Bullock was created for animated series, right?
No.
Who am I thinking
You're
of?
thinking of Montoya.
Montoya was, yes.
Okay, there we go.
Batman has until midnight to find them before the Joker kills them. And Joker has like a little helper made out of his hand, like a hand puppet thing. It's very impressive.
I love these. Like every act, like it has a little different, different like co-host made out of his hand or like his face. I took screen grabs of that because those are hilarious to me.
Yes. I don't know how Go ahead.
It reminds me of the Simpsons episode where Krusty's like in the bomb shelter and he's just like, "Oh, Itchy and Scratchy can't be here, but we've got a Stingy and Battery show." And he's just, like whatever he's got in the room with him.
I really like that the eyeballs on the hand do also move around a little bit.
I honestly think though for like hand drawn like kids TV animation, and this is like what 92, 93, like
it's really good.
It's really good. I mean, even like the quote unquote bad studio that did this episode, like it's really good. And like in a world where I grew up like with He-Man and shit, this is really good.
It was a step up, sure. Yeah. You can tell there was a scene in particular. Oh, I know what it is. I wrote it down. We'll get to it later. That I was like, that's impressive animation, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just the action. I think that we didn't mention the studio, but it's called ACOM. The action gets a little rubbery. I think again it is like you can tell they've done other cartoons, and so like doing a more realistic thing. Sometimes it looks a little like you expect somebody's head to get smushed by something. Yeah. Which is not what we think of when we think of Batman the Animated Series. We didn't mention the music. There's like a full like orchestra through the whole thing, which is very cool because they have like this is the first Joker episode, and so they have to introduce the Joker theme and then have like a Christmas Joker theme.
Yeah, because that was pretty standard for all the Warner shows, right? Is that they all had full orchestras. I did feel like for the beginning half of this episode there wasn't much music in a lot of the scenes though. Like I was expecting like a full like backing musical track, and there's like lots of points where it's just like very quiet, slow dialogue because Batman is really good, but him and like Dick Grayson's scenes are very very slow when they talk.
I think they bring it in when it's like the more action-packed stuff and that kind of thing. But it's like it definitely made me think of like just Looney Tunes and how like the cartoons. Warner's always had like just great music behind the cartoons. Yeah. They know that.
I don't know if the new Animaniacs has a full orchestra or not. I haven't really been paying attention that much to it.
I don't think so. I could be wrong.
I can't imagine they'd afford it, but I also don't know why you would have done it for Batman the Animated Series back in the 90s. Why you'd spend that money either, but they did.
I don't know.
Spielberg, but yeah.
Yeah. So the Joker also has a little tiny model of the city because that's what you do whenever you're going to destroy stuff. And he is destroying a bridge that some train is going to go over, and the reporter is like, "Hey, my mom's on that train," and she's like gagged with a candy cane that doesn't seem to be attached anywhere. She could just spit it out. I don't know.
Does it to Commissioner Gordon too, and then puts it back in Commissioner Gordon's mouth, and he's like, "I've got this."
So Batman and Robin spring into action. They go to the train. They separate out the passenger cars. They get the conductor out of the front, and there's a big crash. It's action packed. Joker gets mad or whatever and blows up his own cardboard live studio audience that's watching him. There's a lot of stuff happening here that the Joker had to prepare for in advance, and I want to see those scenes of like the Joker watching all of this and like just testing things out. I want to watch prep.
Yeah. Because there's a point where he like had like all three of them hanging over a vat of acid, and I'm just like, how did he do that? Like his crew, he must have been really good with like the time management with his crew. Okay, it's like, and now when we do the scene change, we need to do this, and they probably have like a little clock, like we have 5 minutes to do this, guys. And then it was like 5:15. It's like, guys, we got to tighten it up. The way we would do for like scene changes for theater.
So I want to see so I was watching this and then I was thinking of Home Alone, and I'm like, wouldn't it have been great to see a bunch of scenes of little Macaulay Culkin like trying to line up these traps perfectly and like testing them and like, oh, that was off to the left, and like repeat it over and over, like adjust still, and then like, okay, now hit it again, now adjust, now hit it again, and like, this isn't working.
Yeah, like I have to anticipating that it's gonna be Daniel Stern and not Joe Pesci coming through with the paint cans.
Oh my god!
Because there's like a full like foot ahead of difference. Because Joe Pesci, I just watched this like 2 days ago. Joe Pesci comes through the door and gets the blowtorch, and that would go like into Daniel Stern's chest, wouldn't it? If and then, but
knew.
Like he knew, but he also like Macaulay Culkin's also like shorter than Joe Pesci, so he'd have to like plan it like, okay,
well,
all right.
So maybe there's two of every trap, but the other one's always off camera. We never see it. That could be it.
I mean, we do see Macaulay Culkin set some of those traps, but we don't see the ones that he, I guess, didn't spring on.
The painstaking.
He does try to. Where does he try to lure them, and then they don't fall for it? Was it over to the treehouse or something, where they just don't do it?
Yeah. Yeah, because we had to turn it off because Bruce felt it was too violent. Which, I mean, like, what self-respecting I'm calling it my son. What self-respecting 6-year-old doesn't love beating up adults? My son apparently. He loved all the wishful fulfillment.
Just one of those rigged shotguns was just going to shoot them in the chest and kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids these days, boy.
The freedom of your parents being gone and jumping on their bed and eating popcorn, that part he loved. The part where Joe Pesci's head got burned on fire, not so much.
Oh, wow.
Well, it also could have been scary because, like, one kid, like, alone being, like, that's maybe a fear of his of, like, what if you guys aren't home and bad people come for him?
Yeah, because, like, I got, like, super cocksure. Like, my parents had to, like, ratchet me down on that. They're like, you can't take on 2 adults. I'm like, yeah, I can. I'll just set some traps. And they're like, no.
No. So maybe Bruce is just smarter than you. And he's like,
that's probably it.
I don't know. I think you're both wrong in different ways.
All right. So Joker blows up his cardboard audience. Back to the show here. Batman and Robin are like, all right, we got to get to the source of the signal. But the Joker, he knew. He set a trap. And it is like at first there is a big Jack in the Box with the Joker's giant head, and there's a scene where the Joker is on TV, and he has a TV screen behind him showing this big Jack in the Box, and the Joker's face is there, looking very similar but moving in a slightly different pattern, and that's where I was like, oh, that must have been really tough to get right because. They're moving in completely different sections. You didn't have like digital, like flash-based animation to say like, all right, you move at this speed, you move at that speed. You just had to like draw it, and I'm like, that's pretty impressive. Good job, Bad Studio. Good job. But he's like, hey, Batman's gonna die live on television, and he throws it to commercial, and it's also a real commercial. Good job, Joker.
Yeah.
And there's like a turret with a cannon fire shooting at Batman and Robin. I have to say, it's a good thing this cannon is lagging a little bit because Batman was standing right in front of the turret for a second. And it was like on him. And I'm like, oh shit, Batman is going to explode right now. But it didn't fire. They destroy it. They don't know what to do next. But then Joker has another character. It's his chin mouth, like his upside down chin with eyes drawn on it.
I love that. I love that. That's so good. It looks so good. I also want to comment. I really like that the Joker's like face is full white and his teeth are yellow, exceptionally yellow. Like it's a really interesting choice that I don't see really anywhere else with the Joker, and I really like it.
Yeah, there's an amazing episode where Joker tries to win a like amateur stand-up comedian contest, and Batman uses like the Bat computer to like digitally like match his face, and it's like you look at him for like 2 seconds and you're like, yes, that's the Joker, Batman. Like, nobody else looks like this.
Yeah, you don't need a computer for that, Batman. But then the Joker has a present for his guests, and he gets the reporter to unwrap a present. It really doesn't look like she's resisting at all. Like she's just there.
She's like, "Oh, a present! Like this isn't going to turn out badly for me."
But
he didn't
she's
threaten
also,
my parents.
She's got that candy cane in her mouth. She just looks kind of ridiculous. Opening this present here. Oh yeah, and she's worried about her dead mom being on that train. Oh my goodness. No, they saved the train already. They know that's okay. But it's a little Betty blooper doll. It is not a blooper like in Mario. It's a Betty Boop parody. It's drawn exactly like Betty Boop.
I can't remember who owned Betty Boop. It wasn't Warner's. It might have been Paramount or something.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be in the public domain by now. I don't even know.
It might be. I just learned, by the way, that the grandma in Christmas Vacation is the original voice of Betty Boop. I learned that this week. So
wow.
I know. Yeah. So fun. But I like this scene because Dick Grayson is like, wow, bloody blooper dolls. They haven't made those in a while. Like Batman's like, they stopped making them 14 years ago at this factory. Like Batman's a fucking nerd for pop culture, like toys. Yeah. Like Cabbage Patch Kids were made, and then they made the other Cabbage Patch reboot in 1997. But these are different than that. So they're obviously at LAFCO. At Soy Tyson LAFCO factory, which is at 3rd and Main, which sounds like it's a prominent street for an abandoned factory that nobody's heard of in 14 years. I guess Gotham's real estate market downtown is just fucked. Well, they have like chemical plants downtown, don't they? Also, like,
yeah, they've got a lot of. You can get anything in Gotham. But this Betty Blooper doll doesn't really serve much of a purpose to Joker's scheme. I think it's just for the TV show, actually.
It's just for the TV show in
the model city.
It's like a little Godzilla kaiju kind of thing, like, and that's it.
But it just serves as a clue. I thought it was going to be like, okay, there's going to be big ones terrorizing the city doing that, but nope.
No, that was just for Batman to see if he could understand where to go next, I guess.
And to entertain, we've got to think about those ratings. He's got to get that demo up.
I mean, it could be that they just happen to have the doll around, and Joker's like, "I'll use this, I guess."
Yeah,
and it wasn't intended to be a clue. Yep. But Batman is the world's greatest detective, so he figured it out.
So they head to the LAFCO toy factory, and they get there. This is my favorite scene, where Joker's like, "Ooh, they're here," and he just like is getting everything ready. He puts on a record from the Nutcracker, and he's just giggling the whole time. He's just like, it's very great. It's a great Joker scene, and it really is Mark Hamill at his best here when he's just laughing as the Joker. We haven't mentioned the voices, but yeah, best Batman and best Joker, right
Yeah.
here. These two.
It's crazy how much I read Batman comics in Kevin Conroy's voice. Like, it's crazy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he is the Batman.
He really
Um,
is.
it's,
I mean, I do read Spider-Man comics, and I can't even remember his name. He was Greg Brady in the Brady
the
Bunch
90s
movies.
Spider-Man voice.
the
Yeah.
'90s Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's still
You're a
the
really
same
groovy
voice.
chick, Mary Jane. That guy. That's what I read him as. Yeah.
We have. Oh, I also want to mention, because we were talking a little bit about the Yakuza video game series here. In the first Yakuza game, Mark Hamill also did the voice of one of the characters. He did the voice of Majima, who I don't know if he will show up in the one you're playing, Vince, but it's like he's a very crazy guy who does kind of a Joker.
Is his Joker Hobgoblin voice?
It's a little bit, not to that extreme, because it's still like a grounded person, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think wasn't he in like Avatar? He doesn't really do the Joker voice in that.
Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, Avatar the blue
James Cameron
alien.
one. I was like, I don't think Mark Hamill was that. I know
Did
Mark Hamill
y'all-
was in Kingsman.
Did y'all know he was in Star Wars? I think he does the Joker voice there. I haven't seen it.
I did.
So
Mark Hamill,
Yeah.
a well-known actor.
Well-known
He's done okay for himself. I think I was listening to 30-2010. I think he's 69 this year. Nice.
Good job, Mark Hamill. So we then get attacked by airplanes, a bunch of little planes with Joker heads on them. Robin has a better plan than Batman, I think. Robin just picks up an empty barrel and just like catches them in there, and they blow up. Good plan.
I mean, that's a good plan, but he does lose 1,000,000 points. Batman hits some of these planes with a makeshift bat, and Robin goes, "That's why they call you Batman." And I'm like, shut up, Robin.
Yeah.
Like, I wish the Joker had reacted to that, because that sucks.
Yeah. Batman gets a present from the Joker.
I'm not gonna lie, I liked it. I was like, Batman, the batting gentleman. I like this. The fact that Robin called it out was dumb, but I was like, oh, that's a fun Easter egg. Up until that point, I took a screen grab and everything. That bat, by the way, in frame by frame animation, is very flippy floppy. It wobbles a lot.
Very rubbery.
Are you sure it's not an optical illusion, like when you wobble a pencil?
I was gonna send it to somebody, but it looked a little like one of the big dildos you use in Saints Row 4 to touch people.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Not gonna send that to my wife.
Joker has a Christmas present for Batman. Batman stupidly just opens it right in front
He's
of
like,
everybody.
no, it's okay. I'm just gonna stand here and open it and stop. Oh man. And it's a pie in the face, like a whipped cream pie, just like. I wrote nice in my notes, like nice job.
I honestly wish it had ended there. Like if Joker had done this like full crime spree just to get a pie in
That's all
Batman's
he
face
wanted.
and then just left.
I think this was a Joker victory here. Except Batman wipes it away, and it just wipes off all in one.
It's like
clean
three.
swipe.
It's like 3 swipes. Yeah, it's like this was clearly drawn on another cell above the Batman model.
Yeah, and it's gone.
Gone.
And I kind of wish it was still there. Like at least Joker would get some satisfaction out of like now you're like sticky
or like a grease stain or something.
Yeah, something. Like that.
Just like right there on his yellow bat symbol. That'd be great.
Batman leaps into action because these hostages are about to fall in the vat. You said acid. It looks like hot lava. I don't know what this stuff is, but it's like bubbling. But Batman jumps and saves them.
Because this universe, I guess, is like every villain is already fully formed. It's loosely related to the Burton film series that's going on this time, but we're not getting a Joker origin episode. But this is as close as I guess we get, at least in this time frame. Is like we'll still like show you like people getting dropped almost in acid to kind of give you a hint of the origin, but we're not going to do the straight origin.
Yeah, yeah, they don't do any of the movie villain origins, which is kind of a shame because Penguin is so like ill-defined in the cartoon. Because the movie, I don't know if it had even come out yet when they started working on the show.
Oh, it hadn't come out. I feel like I remember watching it right after Returns, the film came out, and the first episode I saw was like a Catwoman episode, like on a Saturday, not on a weekday. And I was like, this isn't the same Catwoman, and then I just never watched the rest of it ever again because I'm that kid. But
I think the worst episode of the show was definitely a Penguin one that I remember, where Batman's like knocked out in the basement of two kids'
I've got
home.
Batman in my basement. I would say the worst episode of that show.
It's terrible.
But so is the Joker, is the Penguin closer to like the whack, 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 Batman, or is he from like the '60s show?
Penguin's
He's
just
doing
a
like an
dude.
aristocrat voice, but his design is very Danny DeVito inspired. So he's got like
Interesting.
weird little freakish limbs.
He's got those guys, the flipper hands.
So it doesn't really.
As I
make
do
sense.
the pose
remember.
like in front of my microphone for no one.
If you do it hard enough,
Does he
in
show
front
him
of the
his
microphone.
French flipper trick?
No, I don't believe so.
That's what Danny DeVito talks about wanting to do to Jan Hooks, and I'm like, this sounds bad all the way around.
Oh no, I think that's Agent Toboggan Mantis actually channeling.
Yeah. So Batman foils the Joker, and they watch "It's a Wonderful Life." The end.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Joker runs away, and so I like that the Joker has kind of looked fat throughout this whole thing, and I'm like, maybe it's just like this holiday sweater, but this whole time he's been wearing a fake coat and fake hands over.
Yeah, that was cool.
So that when Batman grabs him, he just slips it off and goes running, but he slips on a skate and he goes falling into the vat of lava, and Batman saves him and it's over, and they watch It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah,
Yep.
great stuff. Great stuff. Good episode. Even though it is, like, you could tell it's a little bit cheaper and everything, but when you consider the era and everything, like, damn, cartoons were not in a great place around this time.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, I remember watching it and being like, this is the series, and I'm like, this isn't like Catwoman. This isn't the Catwoman I know. And like, I was super particular. The way like my son is completely opposite. Like, he can like process there's like 5 different Spider-Man and 5 different Batman between like Lego Batman, Batman movies, Batman cartoons, and they don't like phase him the way like I was very particular. Like, this isn't the
Well,
same.
you only knew one,
Right. I knew the
So
Adam
number
West
2
one,
is
so
the
I knew Adam West was different, but it had been like enough time apart.
Yeah.
But man, it really threw me, and like I was like, this isn't the same. So I just like threw it out, and then by the time I finally watched it, like in I would say like 2010. There's so many more superhero cartoons that are good that like it felt like it didn't feel special, as special. Because they'd gone on the backs of Batman animated series, but it is a hair better than the X-Men animated series. By not a hair better, it's significantly better.
It's significantly better. Yeah, I've tried to rewatch X-Men the animated series pretty recently, and some of those early episodes are like, it definitely feels like 80s animation compared to 90s animation.
Right. I mean, it's still like good, and it's still better than He-Man and like a lot of the other bullshit that we watched. And
Yeah, at least, I mean, with the X-Men cartoon, like the voice acting is pretty good, the music's decent, and then like the animation itself is just ugly.
yeah, but the design is cool. And then like,
Yes.
I mean, but like watching like Space Ghost of the 60s and 70s, like my mom and aunt had to watch, like, shit. Like, this is so much better than that. So like, I don't want to sell it short, but like, but Mark Hamill's so good. And like, I watched this and I'm like, this would have been a great just single issue of Batman. Like, but we could have flip-flopped each of these without like the violence as much in Slayride, and I feel like they would have been a good episode or a good comic individually. They both work really well.
Yeah, and this definitely has a lot of sillier stuff, but I do kind of like it better in a way because it does kind of. Batman seems like a real doofus for not doing anything about a mass murderer, whereas Joker's just kind of doing tricks in this TV show.
Yeah.
So like, he should just go to an insane asylum. Like, if he just wants to pie people in the face. That's an insane thing to do, he's a murderer.
Right. I like the insane Joker. His eyes are very insane at the end of the episode when he's in his cell in Arkham, like just laughing. It's a great crazy face.
Yes.
But yeah, if you haven't watched Batman the animated series, some of the episodes are worth watching.
I don't know where you're gonna watch them though.
You can't get it. You
be
can't
on it.
stream it anyway.
Yeah, definitely check out if you want to watch like a good episode. Watch the Mr. Freeze origin or the Two-Face origin. Those episodes. I think Two-Face is actually a 2-parter, but that's not a pun. It's a
Harvey.
fact. But those
remember.
3 episodes are really good, and they are like very serious and dark and not cartoony. The first couple episodes, like there's a Scarecrow episode because I just started watching the Blu-rays just because it's on the disc. And they're very loosey-goosey and cartoony to kind of start with after the premiere, which is Man-Bat. But then you get to Two-Face, and that's really good.
Yep. Man-Bat episode is such a terrible thing to start on, I feel. Like
It's a weird-
I guess they probably don't give a shit. Like, you know, maybe it was cool to have like a monster for like the first airing, and they're also airing them daily, so it doesn't really matter again, like what their airing order is.
Well, they aired that one in primetime for some reason.
Whoa.
Weird.
Maybe they thought
I
adults
don't
would
know
like
why.
it.
Because I got those DVDs and I'm like, I don't see what the big deal is. I do not like this episode. The Gray Ghost episode, though, that's the one I'll recommend. I watched that one after Adam West passed away, because Adam West plays like a TV or film hero that Bruce Wayne really liked growing up. So he gets to like kind of reunite with Adam West on that episode, and that's pretty cool.
Is it Bruce Timm or Paul Dini that the bad guy in that episode is modeled after? It's one of those two.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Because he's like very nerdy and he has big glasses, and that's kind of what they would draw a caricature of one of those two to look like that. So it was definitely like a commentary.
I don't know. I do know that Paul Dini has an interesting bio comic called The Dark Knight, NIGHT, not with a K. About the writing of Batman the Animated Series. He also got like attacked during like a physical assault by like a mugger during the writing of this series. But you do get some like insight into what like the writing of the behind the scenes of this show was. So that's cool.
All right. Yeah. Great show, recommend, or great TV show, recommend it. Let's get to Squadron Supreme, which I feel like we're going long. So
We are going long. Let's jump
for
into
2 issues. Dang it.
yeah. Well, all right. Squadron Supreme, always pretty dense here, but we won't do much of a recap because we did that last time. But issue number 8, still written by Mark Greenwald, who wrote all these. Art on this one by Bob Hall. I haven't really been keeping too much track of who's been doing the art.
He's done at least one issue.
So we start with the Wizard, who's getting out there, stretching his legs, doing some running.
Talking about a mild amount about his origin, and he was like, why he decided to be called the Wizard. He wanted to be called the Boomer, but his wife was like, for crossing this for the Sonic Boom, and his wife was like, that's a terrible name. So instead he picked Wizard, which is somehow not better.
I was gonna say that's even worse.
But it's still better than his bad guy Bollix.
Bollix, yeah, Bollix. About Bollix and Rustler, who's like a cowboy. They're robbing like a bank or a store or something. I don't know. And Whizzer finds them, and the cops are shooting at Rustler and Bollix, but they are wearing force belts, which are the ones that the Squadron uses to protect themselves. And now they're on the market for law-abiding citizens to keep themselves safe. But of course, these bad guys are also using them to protect themselves from gunfire. Ooh.
I love that. I love how it fell apart immediately.
Like as we get introduced.
I think
to
Wizard was like, "Oh shit, I know what's happened here. They've been out on the market for a week. This is probably gonna happen."
Yeah. It's still no problem for the Wizard because he just like bounces them around like giant balls and their little force balls.
And he's like, your battery's going to run out in 96 hours anyway, so, like, who gives a shit? Like, then
that's actually a long time. 96 hours on one battery? Wow.
Yeah, these are very protective belts.
Yeah.
But he also mentions that they won't be able to eat while the belt is running, so they'll have to turn it off themselves while they're in the prison. So I guess all's well that ends well.
So how does that work? So they're clearly holding, like, bags of money in their hands, but the bag of money or they could pick up shit. With their belts.
They must have picked it up before
they were already
activated the
holding.
belts.
Yeah, they were already holding.
So you have to have the belt off, pick up the item, and then turn the belt back on.
Yes,
I think that's how they did it. They turned the belt on as they were running.
So if you were wanting to get a snack or needed to go to the bathroom or something, like
you need to let something in the bubble.
Okay, you have to keep it. You have to turn it off to get it in the bubble, or just keep it in the bubble. Okay.
Right. So we never see these two again, so don't worry too much about it. But we cut to the base, and Tom Thumb has, of course, made these force belts, and we get some suits there. And they're like, hey, we've made a luncheon in your honor because these things are great. Helping the economy because all these gun factories that aren't in operation anymore can make these, and it's awesome. And Wizard shows up. He's like, hey, Tom Thumb, guess what? Some villains got a hold of it. He's like, hey, not now, man. This is a bad time. But we don't really get much of anything else on that front. We have a few folks are out at one of these force belt factories, just kind of testing stuff. It's Apex, who's really the smart one there. Blue Eagle and Quagmire are just kind of hanging out. And they're like, what are we doing here?
Great
Quagmire.
question, guys. I asked that 4 issues ago. I don't know why y'all are here. It's a good question.
Quagmire starts hitting on one of the female scientists there, and Blue Eagle is not okay with this. He's like, hey man, what are you doing back there? And Quagmire is like, I can't even, like, it wasn't that bad. I technically can't even do anything wrong because of all this behavior modification you did to me. So, like, what did I do wrong? And he's trying to light up a cigarette, and Blue Eagle just punches him in the face. And he's like, that's not good. We got an image to worry about.
I love there's another villain that's the same way here later on, but I really like we predicted all these things, and these are like stupid comic book things that were like these wouldn't work in the real world. Like you weren't specific enough. You can't be specific enough in your behavior modification. So whatever they told Quagmire to do did not mean they never said don't be sleazy to people. Don't be sleazy to women. That never entered the equation, or they didn't specify in the wording correctly, which is what we thought would say. We said like, well, this is bullshit, like a couple issues ago, and it's coming to fruition, and I really appreciate that. Like this is,
and Blue Eagle. I don't think he's going to win. I think the race is already over. But putting himself in the running for worst member of the squadron by just punching one of his teammates for no reason.
Yeah, it's like he's a little. And then he mentions like, I think I'm on edge because of Lady Lark and how she's basically like out of my life now because she's behavior modified to be in love with someone else, and that sucks. So he's out clearing his head. He comes back, and he's like, "Oh my god! While I was gone, there was a gas leak. This is a terrible time for me to have been gone." And Quagmire saved like 30 people's lives, but he's in critical condition because he took in a lot of this gas, and Blue Eagle feels terrible. He's like, well, damn, that guy's actually kind of a hero, and he might die now because I wasn't here to help him. Damn.
Yes.
Back at the base, Arcana, who's like our Zatanna character, she's getting checked out by Dr. Decibel because she's pregnant. And Dr. Decibel's like, you're not even that far along. And she is actually more far along than she's been leading on. She's got an enchantment to kind of hide her belly. And she's like, yeah, I'm doing this on purpose. I don't want the squadron treating me like I'm made of glass like they did during my last 2 pregnancies. So I want to make sure I can keep like staying in action. And Dr. Decibel's like, I think that's a bad idea. But he can't say anything to anyone else because of the behavior modification. He can't like go against a squadroner's word. Too bad. We have multiple, like there's 3 scenes in a row where the bad guys are like, I wish I could do something, but I'm behavior modified.
The fake parasite is like, there's something wrong with Hyperion. His energy, it does not seem normal.
Yeah, last issue, Hyperion got swapped with the fake Hyperion from another dimension. The person you mentioned, Parasite Lamprey, is the character here. And Spectrum. They're all flying back, and Hyperion says, hey, y'all, I'm going to fly ahead and go hang out with my girlfriend for a little bit. And yeah, Lamprey's like, I can't say anything. This guy seems weird. Hyperion is loving being a good guy. He's smooching up Zarda, having a good time. Foxfire walks in on them, and he's like, oh, sorry. Zarda is also really loving this Hyperion. They're having a good time together, and it doesn't seem like Hyperion's doing anything too bad. He's just, he did do something terrible. He murdered Zarda's husband, but now he's just kind of doing his thing. But real Hyperion has been watching. So, okay, last episode we kind of said, like, wow, I hope we don't have Hyperion kind of coming back to be like this hero. And be like redeemed through all this, and we have like a fight between Hyperion and Hyperion on the cover here, and then it's like, oh, we're probably not going to get a big superhero fight. It always ends up, this book kind of subverts our expectations all the time, and they managed to subvert our expectations again because this time we weren't expecting a fight, but we definitely got a fight. A real Hyperion is watching all this, and he's like trying to bust his way back into the real world, and he's not able to do it. He runs into Master Menace, who's also trapped in this weird little out-of-dimensional world. And his energy source is out, so they have to team up to get out of there. And I love Master... I think Master Menace might be my favorite character in this book so far. He's just like a great bad guy. He's just there doing his thing,
I love... He reminds me so much of like Silver Age Doctor Doom, where he's like so casual all the time. Like when... Hyperion's like, he's like, Master Menace is like, okay, I'll help you, but on the condition that you never use your mind control on me. And he's like, I can't promise you that. And he's like, well, so long. And then later Hyperion has to go find him, and he's just like lounging in this like weird cloud rock formation.
Yeah, because I love when Master Menace like made that demand. I'm like, you have no power here, bro. You have no bargaining chips whatsoever. Yep. Like, you need Hyperion, and Master Menace's like, I'll figure out something else. I don't give a shit.
And so he's just lounging around like, wait, he'll come back.
Yeah, I mean,
he's dumber than me. I've manipulated him enough. Manipulated him enough. I've got this.
I also like that. Well, so Hyperion comes back and says, "All right, Masterman is fine. I promise, but you have to promise not to do bad things." And he's like, "Yeah, sure. I promise. As a villain, I won't do that."
Your name is Master Menace.
Ha ha ha! And he's like, "Good enough for me."
Yep. So they team up and get out. Master Menace actually tries to cheat and not bring him with them, but he's like, "No, screw this."
That was pretty sneaky.
Yeah, but he also just doesn't care about him once they get out. He just like drops him, and he doesn't catch him because he's like, I would hate to, interfere with your freedom of falling. And he just flies away.
Like, good job, touche, man. Like, you knew that I wouldn't die from that fall because you're a hero. You wouldn't let me die, but touche, man. Cool.
Yeah.
let me fall into my own castle like an idiot.
Yep. That's a great. I like that scene. That's a good way to enter. So there's a team meeting going on back at the base, and they are talking about Lamprey, and they're worried about him. They're like, yeah, he's gonna make it. And Hyperion busts in, and Zarda's a little shocked to hear about this imposter, but they basically go flying off to fight somewhere, and the rest of the squadron has to follow them. And the back third of this comic is basically just all this scene, which is very unusual for this book. Usually this is like lots of stuff happening on every panel kind of thing. And it's just like the more this is going, it's like, no, this is a full-on fight between these two where, Hyperion does kind of mention, hey, he doesn't know this fake Hyperion's origins. I wonder if he even knows his or if
that's
he's just
that's a cool plot twist. That's a really that's a cool alternate universe thing of like, I don't know this like part about the lore of my past. Maybe my alternate universe self might know this kind of thing. That's a really cool wrinkle. Like, that's not gonna probably go anywhere, but I like that would be like some shit that like if a good alternate reality show did that, that'd be really good. I like that.
And did y'all notice Mount Rushmore is different in their universe?
I noticed they called it President's Mountain, but I wasn't sure if Hyperion just didn't know it was called Mount Rushmore.
No, it's Ben Franklin is on there, which is kind of a giveaway that things happen differently.
I didn't really notice that. One of them throws a giant nose at the other one from President's Mountain. There's lots of explosions, lots of eye lasers. It's a pretty good fight, but also the fact that this book has not had any fights like any big fights like this. Like, we've had some kind of moving the plot ahead fights against nobodies, but this has been like first really big fight.
Well, and like fight that like matters between characters, whereas everything else is like, we're fighting these dumb rednecks, or we're fighting something. Right. We're fighting Bollocks and Pardon or whatever his name was, a Rustler. Right. But it's like a means to an end. It's more like Bendis's like Spider-Man fights at the beginning of like in the cold open, just to get you like in the mood before he gets to the real plot.
Or like because the time traveler showed up and Hyperion was like, "Get out of here!
Get out of here!" Yeah. But like, because this book hasn't had so many, you're like, oh, this is like important. It feels way more earned than like another like random fight in a book, and it's like, I'm okay with giving this so much time and like letting a little bit less stuff happen in this issue.
Well, and you're saying that this is like earned, and I absolutely agree with you. But it's only been 2 issues. Like, Evil Hyperion literally showed up an issue and a half ago.
That happened way faster than I thought it was going to. Yeah, and I'm just like, whoa, out of nowhere, like fake Hyperion just showed up. But again,
but like, he did enough. Like, he did enough like meaningful stuff of like killing like Zarda's husband. And then making her fall in love with him, or starting that relationship. He did enough, and then like got Master Menace like all in the span of like, I would say 30 pages, while 2 other plots were going on. He's done a lot. So Hyperion is like almost a little blinded by rage. The other squadroners are trying to stop him. They're trying to stop all the fighting. Zarda tells Lamprey to leech his powers, and he's like, "Hey, I can't. He's a squadroner. I can't use my powers on him." That's the other wrinkle I really like, is Lamprey's wrinkle of like, I can't do shit. Like, I've been mind controlled to be a good guy, but it's the real like, I don't have to though. I just have to not do bad things, but I don't have to do good things. Like, it's a real. I really like that wrinkling also there. And you also have that switch is like, well, now like I'm a gossipy bitch, but now that I think that he might be an imposter, now I'm telling everybody all this stuff. So I like that.
And Zarda's like a little heartbroken about this and like trying to figure out what's what. Fake Hyperion does admit that he killed Zarda's wife. I mean Zarda's husband. And this is like Hyperion is just straight up punching and punching and punching him in the face. And when he finally backs off, like he's in Zarda's arms. And there's a sad ending with Zarda like crying over this. It's not even human anymore. It's like melting in his arms because like who knows what this guy's origin was. And like, yeah, this guy was undeniably bad, but the real Hyperion comes off just like looking bad for it somehow. Like there's something in the art and just the tone of all of this, and Zarda crying over it, and like I think she was probably happier with this other Hyperion.
Well, with Zarda, it's so complicated because I feel like in any other narrative, and I was actually mad at this, but I've been like reflecting on it since I read it, was the idea that like in any other narrative, she's like, "How dare I've been betrayed and you murdered my husband? Get away from me! I never want to see you again." But it's more complicated than that because she did like this dude or the idea of this dude before she realized he was an imposter, and reconciling that with herself is still going to be like a lot of processing of emotions, and that is a loss. That you can't be sad about. So it's more complex than that. Because at first I'm like, this is bullshit. Why was she in love with him? But the more I think about it, I think it works.
Like, they had a month together, you know. It is what it is.
And I mean, I do think you're not supposed to like Hyperion in this scene. Like all the other squadron members are like trying to pull him off because like he's embarrassed kind of that he's been like, you know, this other guy's impersonating him and doing all this stuff. And he's like taking it way too personally and kills this guy basically. Like it's pretty crazy. That again, you know, he's right there. I think he's there's no way he's going to top Golden Archer, but he's inching up the power rankings for worst squadron member since the behavior thing was his idea.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think it is kind of like a bigger metaphor for the whole thing where it's like he knows this is right and he's going to make it right no matter what, even if his methods aren't great. We've seen Zarda is the one who's kind of the most trigger happy with B-mods, and it seems like she's happier living in like a fantasy life even though it's not real, you know. It's like she's willing to let herself kind of there's a lot. But yeah, it's sad. I was sad for Zarda. I was sad for that fake Hyperion. He seemed to be like actually kind of
no. That dude jumped into love like immediately without knowing it was reciprocated. Also,
that's true. That's also true. Never mind.
And was like, I have a better deal here. And he just threw Master Minutes through an interdimensional portal. He's like, haha, like he jumped right from the other. But no, he's a garbage person.
Yeah, you're right. So that's it for this issue. The next issue looks pretty good. It's got Tom Thumb holding up a thing that says it's the cure. We'll see what this is. It's also got, I think this is a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. Maybe not. It looks like his style.
Because several issues ago we found out that Tom Thumb had cancer.
Yes.
It's been months now.
So I guess that's going to come into play. And I'm excited to see where things go. I don't remember any of this. I wish I remembered where we were headed. But yeah.
We don't have much to go. We're 2/3 of the way through.
Wow. 4 issues left. Yeah. So next episode, we will continue with issue number 9. And what else are we reading next time? Oh, it's going to be January. It's our death month where we always read books where people die. Isn't that great? We are reading.
We do read a lot. I do love that we made this little mini death month because I think we started with like Death of Captain Marvel, and we covered like Thanos' death last year, Death of Jean DeWolf, Death of Aunt May. We've covered Death of Superman. We've done a lot.
Everyone from Jean DeWolf to Superman, and everyone in between. But next time, we are going to be doing the death of the Stacys, Gwen Stacy, and
just Gwen Stacy. We're not going to do.
Just Gwen. Okay,
we're not going to do Death of George Stacy. Also, we're not going to do that.
Captain George Stacy, not going to get done. But just
Dennis Leary's going to be alive. He's going to stay alive.
Nice. Amazing Spider-Man 121 and 122. We're also going to read What If number 24. What if Gwen Stacy hadn't died? I wonder if she would become Spider-Gwen. That could have been it. But
I don't think it goes there.
It does. It does. But yeah, look
we
forward
can make
to
a
that next
bet,
time.
but I don't think Spider-Gwen's gonna.
Well, okay, so should we do an over/under? We didn't do one for this
I've
time.
read the What If issue, so I'm not. I'll abstain from that one. But
do you remember it? You read it recently?
15 years ago.
Okay, so I think we can do an over/under.
Okay.
All right, so the over/under on. Boy, what happens a lot in
kids? How many kids do they have? If they have kids.
Oh, in the What If story? Okay.
Yeah. Do you think Peter and Gwen get married? I would imagine so. I can't remember. And do they have kids? That I don't remember one way or the other. I feel like every look in the future 10, 15 year story is going, because it does go that far. It does not just follow the immediate days after that. It follows their whole life afterwards. Because it's from
I'm going to say 3 kids.
3 kids. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Vince,
2.
Chris?
I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say 2, and they both look like them.
that's a given. Yes.
Or the boy has a headband and the girl doesn't, or some shit like that.
Oh yeah. The girl has webs.
like a little curly
I'll stick
perm.
to the over/under and just pick one. Spider Girl.
Okay, got it. So we'll see how many kids they have in the future. We'll see if they even have kids. What if Gwen Stacy hadn't died and becomes a villain? That could be it too. I don't know how this goes. But that's it. So look forward to that next time. What else do we want to talk about here? Chris, how's your stupid minds doing? What did y'all do for Christmas?
We are doing a Christmas Hallmark Netflix type movie. We're doing a very silly one. So check it out. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it will be coming out in the next week or two.
A very memorable movie.
Yes. Oh, A Night for Christmas. That's it's
K-N-I-G.
K-N-I-G.
Oh, okay,
isn't there a sequel? Isn't there a sequel for that now?
Probably, but there is a sequel, Hook, at the end of that movie. Vanessa Hudgens is in this movie, she's in all of those.
All right, nice.
Great.
And it involves time travel and no conflict at all. Just a friendly knight from the past who's the perfect man, I guess.
Great.
Like Kate and Leopold.
Yep.
Vince, you got anything going on?
No, I've got absolutely nothing going on. I got to get everything ready for Christmas. Oh, Wonder Woman 84 comes out on Friday, HBO Max.
Hey.
Kimberly is like, what time does it come out? I'm like, I think midnight, Thursday night. She's like, we're watching it. So I will be up till 3 a.m. on Christmas, and then my kids will be champing at the bit for Santa Claus gifts at 6 a.m. It's going to be wonderful. But hopefully Wonder Woman is great, and I won't regret a single minute of it.
Nice. I did want to talk about, because I'm a big wrestling fan here, and this has to do with comics here, but AAA, the biggest wrestling promotion in Mexico, had a Marvel-sponsored match at their last big show. So AAA is what they are. So they have Triple Mania every year. And they had a match that was Spider-Man and Captain America versus Venom and Thanos. And I thought it was great. They actually gave them character names, and they had some people that you might know playing these parts. Spider-Man was Arachno, and it was played by Leo Rush, who I kind of realized going through. I was like, hey, this guy's doing Leo Rush moves. The Captain America was Leyenda Americana, and that was Daga, who was a Mexican wrestler. You had Venenoid, who was Taurus. He's a guy who usually wrestles with a big old bull mask on his head. And boy, Venom's costume was great. He had a tongue sticking out the whole time. It was beautiful. And Thanos was Terror Purpura, and it was played by Brian Cage. It was really great. At the end of the match, they even had a teaser where Captain Marvel came out. Estrella Cosmica. Nobody knows who was playing her because she didn't wrestle, and I haven't seen it online or anything yet, but they might be doing a Marvel League or something, or continuing this. They already have Lucha Libre Marvel Funko Pops with some of these characters on them and some others, and it's it might become a whole thing. So I'm pretty excited about it. If you want to see real life superheroes flipping around and fighting, you can probably look it up. I think it's probably on YouTube somewhere. Yeah, interesting stuff. Other than that, I'm streaming on Twitch, Kiarash, Kiarrash. That's 3 R's. I'm having a good time with that. So you can join me and watch me play Mario.
Awesome.
That's it. That's all I got to plug. That's everything. Boy, I don't usually plug that. I plugged another thing and my thing. I'm usually the one with least plugs.
Wow.
Now I don't know what to do now. You got to end the show, I suppose. It's going to be Christmas time coming up. Remember, everyone, stay safe. Just because it's the holidays doesn't mean there's not a deadly disease floating around through space. Not like outer space. I mean, it might be there too.
It might be there too, but more importantly, it's on Earth.
It's on Earth. Yeah. So be careful. But Vince, be careful. I love you.
Be careful. I love you.
Chris, be careful. I love you.
I can't think of a good Marx Brothers quote. Just pretend I did one.
Great. Wonderful.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. And listener, thank you so much for hanging out. It's been fun. Join us
Another year is in the bag.
Oh yeah.
We'll see y'all in 2021.
Whoa. Hey, see you next year. Just fade out.